I'm so happy to be here to serve as your moderator for what I know is going to be a great day. We're talking about shared services for the municipal courts. We have an esteemed group of panelists here that will give us their views. So I'm going to jump right in and start with introducing our Director of Local Government Services, and that is none other than Jacqueline Suarez. Ms. Suarez serves as the Department of Community Affairs Director of the Division of Local Government Services and Local Finance Board Chairwoman. In this role, Ms. Suarez advocates for local government interests, revitalizing the division's supportive initiatives, and developing grant programs. She also oversees the financial and operational regulations of New Jersey local units to help ensure fiscal solvency. Ms. Suarez, a native of New Jersey, earned her Juris Doctorate degree from Rutgers School of Law in Camden and her bachelor's degree in communications, legal institutions, economics, and government from American University in Washington, D.C. She is a member of the New Jersey and New York bars. Prior to joining the division in 2021, Suarez served as an associate counsel to Governor Murphy. Prior to her work in the governor's office, she was DCA's point person for all communication with the state legislature, including the department's official position on legislation and legislative inquiries. She also drafted bill language, spearheaded the implementation of newly signed legislation at DCA, and helped review and advise the department on decisions, order settlements, and other matters that impacted DCA, a dynamic person to work with. So I introduce to you Director Jacqueline Suarez.
Thank you very much, Kim. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone, and good morning. First, I'd just like to take a moment to thank everyone for joining us today to discuss shared services, in particular shared services amongst municipal courts, as well as the Local Efficiency Achievement Program, which we call here the LEAP program. Governor Murphy appointed Nick Platt and Jordan Glatt as shared service czars in 2018. Nick and Jordan, who are both with us today, travel the state to promote and encourage shared services in New Jersey as one way to pretty much address property taxes as well as streamline services across the state. Nick and Jordan are both former mayors who implemented shared services in their communities and understand just how intricate this process can be. They both have deep roots in New Jersey with backgrounds in business and the nonprofit arenas, and we encourage you to reach out to us and to the czars should you have any questions about shared services moving forward. The Division of Local Government Services here, we administer the LEAP grants. We're entering into our second year of the program. Fellowship grants were awarded to several counties that applied in the 2020 and 2021 year, which cover the salaries for individuals serving as shared services coordinators for those counties. So it's a great opportunity to kind of explore as well as oversee those shared services. In the fiscal year 2021 budget, the Murphy administration committed to adding another $10 million to the LEAP grant program. The LEAP grants are doled out on a rolling basis. And while we encourage you to apply early, you can pretty much apply at any time so long as there are still funds available. Shared municipal court services are impactful. They're extremely impactful to those communities in which they serve. They not only help streamline services, but they do realize significant cost savings that translate into lower property taxes for those residents. In many ways, the shared service court system that Nick stood up serves as a model for other municipalities to utilize, and the division stands at the ready to assist any municipality or county embark on a shared service initiative. That is truly a fundamental component of our Local Assistance Bureau, and the shared services possibilities are truly only limited by your creativity. We found that shared services have proven to be a win-win situation for local government entities with regard to taxpayer savings and open doors to collaboration simply by eliminating the standalone mindset. With these symposia, we are spreading awareness among municipal and county leaders throughout the state that cost-sharing opportunities can not only save taxpayer dollars, but can also help to streamline and improve the delivery services. The new pilot program for regional courts allows a county to be a lead agent of shared municipal courts and will aggrandize opportunities for more significant shared services and taxpayer savings. Atlantic County was awarded a LEAP Challenge grant in the amount of $150,000 to support its efforts at regionalizing municipal courts. Today, we have guest panelists who are spearheading the Atlantic County regional court system, and we will hear from these presenters later in the program. Just to kind of give a flavor of some of the success stories from the 2020 and 2021 LEAP grant funding cycle, I'm just going to list a few notable ones. One was North Wildwood. They're going to be embarking on a Shore Community Regional EMS study with Wildwood and Wildwood Crest. We had Chesterfield, who was merging two fire districts. We have the Bergen, Hudson, and Passaic counties, who received a grant award to study the consolidation of the medical examiner's office to perform autopsies at one singular location. We have Lambertville that received a challenge grant for economic development with several river towns along the Delaware within Hunterdon County. We have Woolwich and South Harrison, who entered into shared police and court services. They received additional funding for vehicles and rebranding costs. We had Salem County School District. They received funding for a study to merge their 12 school districts into one, which would save, just at first glance off the back of an envelope, at least $1.5 million just in superintendent salaries alone. We also have several counties that have entered into shared services for jailing facilities. These include Sussex and Morris counties. They've looked at about a yearly cost of $1.4 million in savings. We've got Cumberland and Atlantic counties with a yearly cost savings of approximately $8.7 million. And then the most recent is Union and Essex counties with a cost savings of over $103 million for over a 5-year period. And I would be remiss if I did not further highlight the Local Assistance Bureau, which is a part of the Shared Service Group. This program was started to provide free consultant services to municipalities in all areas of local and county government. And yes, I did say free. We provide technical assistance with potential shared services. We provide training for elected officials, both for newly electeds as well as refresher courses for battle-tested officials on everything from ethics to budgets to procurement or anything in between. In essence, we are a one-stop shop for all of your local government resources and needs. Should you want to participate in any of that or inquire on anything, you can reach us at sharedservices@nj.gov, which will also be available later on in the presentation on one of the slides. And to be frank, I just want to really reach out to everybody and just say that the team and I look forward to working with you on future projects. I can't underscore the willingness that my staff and I have in assisting anybody moving forward with any shared services initiatives. And we truly do look forward to working with you. And with that, I will turn it back over to Kim. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. And the Murphy administration commitment to shared services is being further advanced through the municipal court consolidation efforts, and the new legislation authorizes regional municipal court pilot program in counties that have a population of less than 300,000. And this administration doesn't just talk about it, because the Murphy administration awarded $5.3 million in 2020 and in 2021 and grant funding through, as Jacqueline mentioned, the Local Efficiency Achievement LEAP program. And in fiscal year 2022, the Murphy administration has added another $10 million to the LEAP grant program. So as we know, with this whole thing, with all municipal court consolidation efforts require approval of the New Jersey judiciary and support of the AOC. So with that, we're going to hear from our esteemed panel. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Honorable Glenn A. Grant. The Honorable Glenn A. Grant was appointed by Chief Justice Stuart Rabner as the Director of the New Jersey Administration Office of the Courts in 2008. Under the leadership and direction of the Chief Justice, he provides the day-to-day management of the court system. He collaborates with the Chief Justice to oversee a court staff of 9,000 plus employees, including 460 Superior Court judges. He is also responsible for overseeing the state municipal courts, comprised of approximately 350 municipal judges and 2,500 administrative staff. The administrative director is a constitutional position, and Judge Grant is the 8th person to hold the position and the first minority appointed to lead the New Jersey court system. He joined the bench in 1998, serving as a family judge in the Essex vicinage. As administrative director, Judge Grant serves as a member of the Judicial Council, policymaking body of the New Jersey courts. Prior to his judicial career, Judge Grant served as corporation counsel and business administrator for the city of Newark. He received his bachelor's degree in political science from Lehigh University and his law degree from Catholic University. He studied executive management at Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government. Judge Grant is the director of the New Jersey Administrative Office of the Courts. The next esteemed panelist that we have is the Honorable Benjamin C. Tisley. Judge Tisley earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree from Rutgers University in New Brunswick, and he earned his JD from Widener School of Law in Wilmington, Delaware. Following law school, he was a judicial clerk to the Honorable Paul Parroquia in Cumberland County, working in the criminal division. Upon completion of his clerkship, Judge Tisley worked as a private attorney in the general practice of law, emphasizing criminal and family law, as well as representing various municipalities and county agencies. Judge Tisley was past president of the Salem County Bar Association, was a 2007 recipient of the Professional Lawyer of the Year Award, and the 2003 recipient of the Best Attorney of Salem County. He was also a member of the District 1 Ethics Committee. Judge Tisley was appointed to the bench in 2007. In 2011, he was named as the family presiding judge, and in 2014, he was named as the criminal presiding judge. In 2017, Chief Justice Stuart Rabner named Judge Tisley as administrative judge for Vicinage 15, which consists of Cumberland, Gloucester, and Salem counties. As an assignment judge, he is the chief judicial officer and has plenary responsibility for the administration of all vicinage courts, its judges, and approximately 550 employees. He has chaired the Labor Relations and Personal Committee and currently chairs the Criminal Practice Committee and the Supreme Court Advisory Committee on outside activities of judiciary employees. Judge Benjamin C. Tisley, New Jersey Chief Judge, Judicial Officer. The next judge that we have is the Honorable Julio L. Mendez. Judge Mendez was appointed as a Superior Court judge in July of 2002. Judge Mendez serves as the assignment judge for Vicinage 1. In this capacity, he oversees the efficient operations of the courts for Atlantic and Cape May counties. Judge Mendez was appointed assignment judge by Chief Justice Stuart Rabner effective on November 1st of 2011. Prior to his current assignment, Judge Mendez served as a Superior Court judge for Vicinage 15, including the counties of Cumberland, Gloucester, and Salem. Judge Mendez has served as chairman for the Children in Court Committee of the Conference of Family Presiding Judges. He also served as a member of the New Jersey Supreme Court Family Practice Committee and various other statewide conferences and committees. In his capacity as assignment judge, Judge Mendez is a member of the New Jersey Judiciary Council and a member of the Judiciary's Management and Operations Committee. In 1981, Judge Mendez received his JD from Rutgers School of Law, Camden, and in 1978, he obtained his BA in Political Science from Glassboro State College, now Rowan University. Judge Julio L. Mendez, New Jersey Superior Court Judge. And now we turn it over to Judge Grant.
Thank you, Ms. Holmes, and thank all of the leaders of the Department of Community Affairs for inviting the judiciary to participate in a critically important conversation. Let me also acknowledge the great work of the Lieutenant Governor and the department in not only spearheading this good government initiative, but their ongoing collaboration with the New Jersey judiciary, particularly as it relates to the landlord-tenant crisis that we face in our state. We've had ongoing collaborations and strategies to try to tackle that extraordinary important issue. I am proud to report that the New Jersey judiciary has an ongoing collaboration and partnership with the executive branch. We reflect the strong efforts of the entire state to promote good government. This initiative here is about good government. I am joined today by two outstanding judicial leaders, and I note a third now retired judicial leader, assignment judge Julio Mendez, assignment judge Benjamin Tisley, and retired judge, but still active judge, Mark Samson. Our judiciary is made strong by their leadership, by their commitment to advancing what we call Dr. King's Mark or Arc of Justice. I would like to briefly highlight some of the philosophical approaches that the judiciary has with regards to consolidations, mergers, and shared court services. First and foremost, our municipal court system is one of the best in the country. We have been extraordinarily fortunate to have outstanding representatives, both as municipal court judges, municipal court staff, and a strong collaboration with the hundreds of towns that make up of our municipal court system. During his tenure as Chief Justice of the New Jersey court system, Chief Justice Stuart Rabner has championed the benefits, the value of engaging in these kinds of collaborations, and the value of trying to collapse, if you will, consolidate, if you will, municipal court service. That effort is based upon three principles. One, the idea that we can make service to the citizens and businesses who use our state better, that we can advance through better service. Two, that we can also allow for an increase in the support of our municipal courts. And three, the chance to advance efficiencies and fairness in our court system. We believe that this movement towards consolidation is growing in our state. We believe that society is changing, and the big driver of that societal change is technology. I can't repeat enough, we have been forced as a result of the pandemic to engage in some remarkable things with respect to technology. The fact of the matter that we're having this conversation today on a monitor is something that really reflects the extraordinary changes that have been made because of the pandemic. The idea that is made oftentimes is location, location, location. And I would argue to you that the real key motivation for the change in our court system, municipal court system, is technology, technology, technology. The fact of the matter is that we today are operating our municipal courts remarkably different than when I started to practice law 40 years ago. We today are no longer a paper-driven process. We today are operating our court system with monitors, with computers, and we are engaged in this transformation of our court operation to say that we will have a remote first or virtual first operation. So our court systems rely upon that foundation, next please, rely upon the support of the administrative office of the court to advance the work of our municipal courts. When we talk about technology, the judiciary provides technology for every court system. When we talk about the technological growth, we have seen more than $100 million collected through our municipal court electronic payment system, which is shared by county, state, and the judiciary to advance the work of our municipal courts. That number, but for the pandemic, will continue to grow. And we see the ongoing efficiencies and economies that take place because of technology. As indicated, the assignment judge that we have on the program today, Assignment Judge Mendez, Assignment Judge Tisley, have been true champions of advancing this initiative towards regionalization and consolidation of our municipal courts. They recognize the value of bringing together towns, our courts, and others to advance the important work of our system. My final point is this. It is not simply about the work of consolidation. It's about trying to create the kind of good government movement that we see taking place across the Department of Community Affairs. It's about trying to advance that good government movement that reduces taxpayer costs, that increases opportunity for economy and efficiencies, and that it advances the overarching goal of a fairer and more just society. And with that, I will turn it over to the two assignment judges.
Thank you so much, Judge Grant. If it's okay with you, I'd just like to make a necessary pivot because we have our Lieutenant Governor and our DCA Commissioner on, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver. So if it's okay, I'd like to introduce our
Absolutely.
Lieutenant Governor, and then she can make her remarks, and then we'll go right back to you, Judge Tisley, and you, Judge Mendez, okay?
Absolutely.
Lieutenant Governor Oliver is self-described as a Jersey girl, born and raised in an ethnically diverse Newark neighborhood. Lieutenant Governor Oliver was inspired as a young girl to be a fighter for the voiceless when her eyes were open to societal injustices and inequities around her, often citing A Tale of Two Cities as her youth awakening. She has since pioneered a successful career in public service, advocating for social justice, women's equality, and education, ultimately becoming the first woman of color to serve in a statewide elected office in New Jersey's history. In addition to her role as Lieutenant Governor, she serves as the Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs, where she has led efforts to strengthen and expand initiatives for fair and affordable housing, community revitalization, homelessness prevention, and local government services that support New Jersey's 565 municipalities. As a trailblazer in every sense of the word, in 2010, she became the first African-American woman in state history to serve as an assembly speaker and just the second in the nation's history to lead a state legislative house. She is a proud 40-year-plus resident of East Orange, New Jersey, where she treasures her time with her 92-year-old mother, who has always encouraged her to be a critical thinker while fostering her passion for helping people through effective public policy. A true model to follow. I introduce to you our Lieutenant Governor and the Commissioner of DCA, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Olive.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for the introduction. And Judge Grant, as always, I appreciated the overview that you gave, giving us the insight and the thoughts of the judiciary and Chief Justice Rabner. I also would like to thank our czars. Governor Murphy, as you know, early in his tenure, asked Nicholas Platt and Jordan Glatt to serve as his czars in shared services. Everyone is so concerned about reducing costs of government. In New Jersey, we've known for a very long time that the way we begin to run more efficient government in New Jersey is through consolidation. I can tell you that during my 15 and a half years as a member of the legislature, a year did not go by that we did not have debates and legislation introduced trying to move us in that direction. With our 566 municipalities that range in size, that range in population, we've tried to communicate to our municipal leaders. It is no longer necessary, as Judge Grant described, for everyone to have everything in their municipality or township. This year, it was reported that through local government services, we have had 2,000 shared services agreements entered into across the state, resulting in savings of $10 million. Moving towards consolidation of the courts is something that we certainly must do. I don't have to tell you, as members of the judiciary, that you can visit around the state, particularly to our municipal courts, and you will find municipal courts open in evenings with maybe 3 or 4 defendants coming before the court. I want to thank you in the judiciary for giving us your valuable time this morning to further discuss this important issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. And now we will resume and go right back to Judge Tisley, who will make remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Holmes, and it's truly my honor to be participating in this symposium today. I can say from the assignment judge perspective and the role of the assignment judge, our primary focus is on the efficient and proper operation of the courts. And this is really an opportunity where not only can we continue the efficient and proper operation of the courts, but we also have the benefit, as mentioned by our other speakers, of the cost savings that's associated with it. From the assignment judge perspective, and as far as starting this process in consideration of the municipal court consolidation or regionalization, we took a number of steps. And our first step was to work closely in my vicinage with our 3 county partners. I'm from Gloucester, Salem, and Cumberland counties. And we had Kim Wood, Jeff Ridgway, and Chad Bruner, who are our county administrators overseeing the working with the freeholder boards. And they were kind enough to invite us to a mayor's meeting. And that was our first opportunity to present information to the local municipalities. At the mayor's meetings, we presented a PowerPoint. And when I say we, it was myself as well as our municipal division. And in the PowerPoint, we provided the information so the elected officials could make an informed decision as to ultimately the best way to proceed. Some of the items that we factored in or focused in on during our presentation was the substantial reduction in filings that have occurred over the last couple of years, as well as the substantial reduction in monies that were received by the municipal courts. The reduction in filings, I acknowledge much of has to do with the COVID and the lockdowns that were in place. But even prior to the COVID lockdowns, we were seeing a reduction in filings. As far as the monies that were being received by the municipal courts, of course, part of that is from the reduction in filings, but the reduction in monies has been happening over the last many years. And that's been happening because of changes that have happened at the state level and through the direction of the Supreme Court with regards to certain ways that money can be charged and collected. Just two examples of where we saw substantial reductions in monies received by the municipal court was the ending of excessive unreasonable court fees, as well as the ending of unreasonable contempt sanctions. And that was something that was happening in our municipal courts. So that has resulted in substantial reduction in the monies. Our mayors were particularly interested, and understandably so, in the finances of it. So in addition to showing how the money has been reduced as far as what the courts have been receiving, we also covered some of the costs of the municipal courts. And those costs are substantial, as all of you know. And the mayors were able to do a comparison to see what it's costing to run these municipal courts, as well as the offset or the monies that are being received by the municipal courts. And it was pretty clear in every municipality that I covered that there was a loss as far as monies received versus costs to run those courts. I also, during the course of the PowerPoint presentation, covered a few other areas to show what the potential future of the courts would look like. As Judge Grant mentioned, we have been technology driven recently, and at present, we're running about 80% of our municipal courts are virtual, and only the cases of magnitude are happening in live courtroom sessions. That has resulted in just a handful of live sessions occurring on a monthly basis in all of the municipal courts through the vicinage. That's important for our municipal leaders to consider because of the excessive, I shouldn't say the excessive, but the costs associated with maintaining our municipal courts. And all of you are familiar with what those costs are, in addition to the maintenance and all the overhead costs that go along with it. Those courts are not being used as the same way and with the same volume that they were being used prior to COVID. In addition to that, there's been some changes, and those changes are in particular the online dispute resolution, which is another technological advance, as mentioned by Judge Grant, that occurred during the course of COVID. And that gives litigants the opportunity to go onto a municipal website and resolve their tickets without the necessity of an appearance in court. Now, that's not all tickets, that's a certain number of tickets, and that list is expanding, but it has resulted in a substantial reduction in the number of people that are entering the municipal courts. And of course, another change that we expect will result in a substantial reduction in court users would be the legalization of marijuana. So the courtrooms are just not being used the way that they were in the past. So in light of all of this, we suggested, from my vision standpoint, that we have some conversations about what would be the best way to move forward with consideration of municipal court consolidation and regionalization. And we approached it in two different ways in my vicinage. In Gloucester County, the Gloucester County administrator and through the local mayors formed a committee. And that committee involves all of the major stakeholders. And during the course of that committee, we looked at all of these specifics that I discussed in more detail, and we're still in the process of looking at that. When I say the stakeholders, we have everyone that could be impacted by potential mergers, as well as a representative of the county prosecutor's office. The Gloucester County, Cumberland, and Salem County are very forward thinking when it comes to these municipal mergers. And one of the considerations in Gloucester County is to fund a county prosecutor or county prosecutors to handle the prosecution of these cases. And that's something that we're looking into. I know that's something that the county prosecutor herself is very interested in, and she spoke to her superiors that also like the idea. It works for efficient court operation, and it would be and result in consistent handling of cases throughout the vicinage. So the committee's been formed in Gloucester County. In Salem and Cumberland counties, applications are in the process to seek funding which was mentioned earlier in this program with regards to having studies performed by a professional that could be shared with the municipalities to determine what would be in that particular municipality's best interest from a court operations standpoint and a financial standpoint. So that's a process that's still ongoing in those two counties. The end result would be for a recommendation to merge these courts, and then the issue becomes whether it would be a shared court or a joint court. And that's a discussion we'll be having in more detail as the process continues. In general, a shared court is just that, when you share some services, whereas a joint court is where you become one combined court with all the municipalities that are part of it. So those are considerations that we'll be taking, that we'll be considering going forward. So as you can hear, I can speak for hours on this topic, but I want to just give a brief overview of really the nuts and bolts of how we started this process. We are in the middle of this process right now, but as you heard, Judge Mendez, who's the assignment judge in Vicinage 1, is much further along in his process, and he's closer to actually forming a regional municipal court. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Judge Mendez.
Thank you, Judge Tisley, and thank you, Lieutenant Governor Oliver and Director Suarez, and of course my boss, Josh Grant. It's been a great honor working with Josh Grant during my entire tenure as a judge, about 20 years now, and 10 years as an assignment judge. And I'm going to highlight the efforts that have led to a plan, an initiative here in Atlantic County that of a regional central municipal court. And I'm going to start by indicating that this is a process that it takes multiple collaboration among all branches of government. And we have worked closely and with the county and the county executive. Counties, you're going to hear later from the county solicitor, counsel to Atlantic County. We've worked closely with municipalities. We've worked closely with Department of Community Affairs. They participating in the working group that was established about a year ago, and of course, ultimately it took the legislature to pass legislation that would allow for the framework of a regional court under the umbrella of a county to take place. Before I go into more detail about what has taken place here in Atlantic County, I just want to highlight a few things, and I think it's important to, from the perspective of the court system, to highlight. Number one, while it is important to always talk about savings and efficiencies, and by the way, we've found that on average, based on the framework of a regional court, each town will save here in Atlantic County about 30%. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, but about 30% and the cost. And that's important. And I realize that that is an important part of the analysis and the evaluation of whether or not to become part of a shared services agreement or a joint court, or in this instance, a regional court. From the perspective of the court system, we see a lot of other benefits that enhance the delivery of justice. And I invite the listeners to take a look at two reports that have been authored by our New Jersey courts over the last few years, which have led to significant municipal court reform in the state of New Jersey. The report of the Supreme Court working group on the municipal courts that was chaired by Josh Grant, that was issued in July of 19, just before the pandemic, and the report of the Supreme Court Committee on Municipal Court Operations, Fines, and Fees. I had the honor to share that committee. That report was issued a year before, in June of 2018, and I am looking at many of the recommendations on the things that we talk about in both of those reports, and we've seen many of those things come into fruition. And because of the steps that we have taken in the judiciary, we can confidently say that the delivery of justice in our municipal courts has been enhanced significantly over the last several years. And of course, the Supreme Court committee was created in New Jersey as part of a national effort to look at municipal court reform. And Judge Tisley indicated in his remarks about the impact that some of those municipal court reforms have had in our municipal courts. The net result is better justice for the people that come before the municipal courts. We have made significant steps eliminating the use of bench warrants, the excessive use of contempt citations or large fines, and essentially taking the courts out of the business of collection of money and more of the business of justice, which is, I think, is essential element from the court's perspective about this effort. We also see a regional municipal court or a shared municipal court or a joint municipal court as a way of enhancing that justice in every one of those instances, a way of promoting judicial independence. For example, the selection of judges in our regional court here not only includes local officials, but included our presiding judge of the municipal court. And ultimately, those recommendations will go to Governor Murphy. In the meantime, they come to me or the assignment judge in every county to review them and to enter an order of appointment, pending the final determination of that recommendation. We also look at this regional court as a way of improving customer service and access and fairness to the courts. And why is that? Our regional court is meeting 5 days a week now, if we're, as opposed to courts that often meet 1 day a week, sometimes once or twice a month. And where individuals that have have a significant delay in their cases being heard just on that basis. So we have the ability to hear cases every single day, and citizens can come in to the court 5 days a week to address issues related to that court, in this significantly improving customer services. We've also talked about ways to improve the lives of people that come before the courts. And we are looking at a multitude of ways to do that. And by having the ability to pool resources in a regional court, we can now look at potentially having the social services agencies being more readily available to the court, and tools available to the court to have individuals that come before the courts dealing with issues as mental health or addiction issues or domestic violence. So we can provide greater services, greater justice to the people that come before these courts by having the ability to pool resources. The Atlantic County effort started with the formation of a working group, which included the judiciary, and we invited all the mayors of every single town to be part of that working group. That was spearheaded by the county executive, who has been the supporter of this concept. The county in Atlantic County has also put forth a facility which should be made available to host the court, which has free, excellent courtrooms. Again, an improvement in facilities. Facilities works in two ways, from my perspective: improvement in facilities and the ability to provide, to have an excellent space for staff and the judges and the citizens that come into the court, and at the same time relieving some of the facility challenges that some of the towns have in their own municipal buildings, and now they'll have additional space available that they could utilize for other things. So the county put forth a plan where they were willing to renovate the old Superior Court Criminal Complex in Mace Landing with free courtrooms, which I've toured. Excellent facility, great improvement for most of the other court facilities that the individual towns now have. So that's that's another excellent component to this. Having participated in municipal court efforts and discussions about shared services and regional courts and the like, I realized that this will be a very difficult process. And it took a few of the things that Judge Tisley mentioned to really be the game changers. The municipal court reform, which is a reduction of some of the revenues that towns used to get and no longer getting. So significant reduction in filings associated with the pandemic, which again had an impact on collections. We hope to see that change in terms of the filings moving forward as society keeps opening up. And of course, the significant expansion of virtual technology. And Judge Grant and the Chief Justice have been great proponents of establishing these improvements in our technology platforms in the court system. And those technology platforms have allowed us to function very significantly and very efficiently during the pandemic. And now, and that includes the municipal courts. And by the way, I keep track of how many cases are in person, how many cases are virtually every week on all of our divisions. And I look at what takes place in our municipal courts. And while we anticipate that once we start opening up, we're going to have more in-person events, Judge Grant has described the municipal court of the future as being 80% virtual, meaning that people can do pretty much everything related to their business with the municipal court virtually, often being able to pay their fine and enter a plea. We have the ability to even negotiate a plea now with the prosecutor. And those virtual platforms have really been a game changer in the process of our municipal courts. And geography is not as important as it used to be. One of the arguments that used to be made about regionalizing courts was the fact that, well, our police officer would have to go all the way out to this court, which is 20 miles away, to testify or to be there waiting to testify. Well, that's no longer the case, because very few cases are now in person. And even moving forward, a lot less cases will be in person. Most of the work will be done through the technological platforms that have been created. In Atlantic County, the towns reacted positively to the effort. It's been a voluntary process where every town has to make their own decision. And so far, we have 9 towns that have officially signed on to the regional court, 9 out of 23. There are other towns that have elected to remain standalone at this point. And that's their decision. We have provided them with information and will continue to support them in their standalone decision. Some towns have elected not to be part of a regional court, but to be part of a shared court arrangement, and that's fine as well. But Atlantic County has really moved forward with this effort. We're anticipating beginning our regional court January 1st of this year, and it's something that has really accelerated. The process really accelerated over the last years, a couple of years, particularly because of the pandemic. Something that I really never anticipate would happen is happening here right now. And as part of this, the legislature passed legislation that specifically allow for a county like Atlantic to be the host of a municipal court. And it made some significant changes to jurisdictional issues related to the municipal courts. Many of the towns are state police towns. Those cases are now going to be heard by the municipal court, in the regional municipal court, and not by the individual town. So it's that jurisdiction of all state police cases are going to be part of our regional court as well. Our court is going to have about 60 to 70,000 filings when it's all done. We're in the process of selecting a court administrator, which is be consistent with our court rules, with a recommendation coming to me from the selection committee. So I said there's a recommendation for judges as well. So, and the process is ongoing in terms of hiring the staff to begin this new court, this regional court, January 1st of 22. So it's been a great effort. It reflects the Chief Justice and Judge Grant's philosophy and policy regarding our municipal courts. I think while it's important that it achieves efficiencies and savings from our perspective in the court system, it enhances justice as well. And that's something that is very important, and it should be very important to everyone. So thank you very much. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Judge Grant, Judge Tisley, and Judge Mendez, in terms of showing us how municipal court consolidation allows for effective and efficient handling of court cases while saving taxpayer dollars. I just wanted to mention that our Lieutenant Governor and DCA Commissioner just advised me that 2,000 agreements save $100 million, not 10, but 100 million. So at this point, I want to move on to our czars, Nicholas Platt and Jordan Glatt. Nicholas Platt is a former mayor of Harding Township and currently serves as the township committee, currently serves on the township committee, a position he has held since 2009. Over those years, he and his elected colleagues provided a more efficient delivery of services through shared service agreements that saved the town hundreds of thousands of dollars annually. The township took a key leadership role in forming a 5-town joint municipal court, which is among the most effective in the state of New Jersey, demonstrating extraordinary savings and superior performance. Those towns include Madison, Chatham Township, Chatham Borough, Morris Township, and Harding. Mr. Platt has more than 30 years of multinational and international expertise in securities, market regulations, investor relations, corporate and financial communications, public relations, and business consulting. Currently, he is the president of the Hartley Dodge Foundation and was recently named to the board of Eisenhower Foundation based in Albany, Kansas. In addition, he is chairman of the Great Swamp Watershed Association, reflecting his commitment to protect the more than 7,500-acre Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge. Platt also sits on the public board of GameCo Fund Advisors, a NYSE-listed company. He is also a member of the New York Stock Exchange Alternex LLC U.S. Committee on Securities Listing Qualifications panel. Platt received his MA in economics from Columbia University and earned his BA from Skidmore College.
Thank you, Kimberly. We are all products of our life experiences. And I was an accidental committee person. I had spent 33 years commuting to New York, and I was drafted to fill an open spot from somebody who resigned from our township committee. So I thought I was going to be there for under a year. So what could go wrong? Well, my first night on the dais, someone asked me about how we were going to bring down the cost of our policing. And I suggested that the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift be moved to one of the other municipalities that border us. And we have 5 municipalities that border us. And I was quoted the next day on the front page of the newspaper saying, Platt says, what difference does it make what decal is on the police car that pulls you over? So when that settled, my township committee decided that I should be the lead on putting together the first joint municipal court in our area. And this is in 2009, because the judiciary had come through and had put together different protocols for protecting the judge and the staff and whatever. And it was going to be a multi-million-dollar retrofit to our municipal building. So at that point, we did what all smart politicians do. We gathered up the 4 township and borough administrators in Madison, the 2 Chathams, Morris Township, put them in the room and said, do not come out until you have put together a joint municipal court. And they did a remarkable job. And as I said, we were one of the first. And we located the new courthouse in Madison that was just going through a $7 million renovation of its new borough hall. The fire department had moved over to a public safety building, but we were starting from scratch. And little things like within the first year, the court administrator said, you know, how do you want to handle debt collection? And we're going, what? And he said, the debts and the people that we give tickets to, if they can't make the payments and such, how are we going to handle that? And it's one of those things that you find each town on a joint municipal court, there are 2 members from each town. So there are 10 people in the room. And, at some point, what the ticket administrator was saying was, you're going to be setting the tone for this joint municipal court for the future, for the next decade. And how are you going to run it? And how are you going to choose your prosecutors? How are you going to choose your judge? And the 10 of us decided we were not going to hire a debt collector, that the people that were not able to pay off their ticket debts, we did not want to shove them underground. They were struggling, and we decided as a group that we were not going to, the debts that didn't get collected from the tickets would go unpaid. The other thing that was startling is in 2011, we would be encouraged to sit in the back of the court and see how it's working, how the prosecutors are set up. And the private lawyers wanted to be able to get there first. The ones that were represented by the public defendant would be the second in line. And so we had to figure that part out. But also we started seeing the sheriff deputy, Morris County Sheriff Deputy, transporting defendants from the county jail over to the municipal building and then coming up through the Surrey port and the elevator and whatever else. And we kept on saying, this is crazy. Why isn't this being done by video camera? So we were one of the early ones of saying, there's no more going to be transporting the defendants anymore. So there's been some growing pains. It's worked for each of the towns that have been involved. The one thing that we still need to work out with the state is that if a municipality in New Jersey is served by, and in Harding Township, we have 6 miles of 287 is serviced by the state police. If the state police write a ticket, the state does not pay for any of the adjudication of that ticket. So that is something that as we go forward, we have to figure out what is a fair fee to charge the state, because that is a burden that's placed on the municipalities. I can go on, but I would say that I'm absolutely in favor of this, of what's being done here. And the COVID has really pointed out that what we can do as a community, you have what goes on. So that's important to maintain. But as far as the judge, what difference does it make where the judge is located, whether it's in Toms River or Atlantic City, handling tickets in Harding Township and Madison? That's immaterial. So I just want to say thank everyone for getting involved in here. I want to turn it over to Mayor Glatt. Now, a few people know that Mayor Glatt and I have been friends for over 40 years, and we came into politics late. And so it was a lot of fun when I learned from Governor Murphy that Jordan was going to be the Democrat on the bipartisan czar team. So Jordan?
Thank you so much. Jordan Platt is the Director of Strategic Partnership at the Community Foundation of New Jersey, where he works with corporations, entrepreneurs, and families to designate charitable vehicles that deliver impact in New Jersey communities. Mr. Glatt is a former two-term mayor of Summit and served as an at-large councilman in the town. As mayor, he worked with the towns in his immediate neighborhood to cut costs to his taxpayers while maintaining a high level of essential services. Prior to joining Community Foundation, Mr. Glatt was Chief Marketing Officer of Free All Media, a social media startup, and served on its board of directors. Prior to that, he was president and CEO of Magla Products, a $90 million nationally recognized household consumer products company. He served on the Walford College Board of Trustees and was previously a member of the New Jersey Economic Growth Council, the vice chairman of the New Jersey Gaming and Horse Racing Commission, and chairman of the New Jersey Young Presidents Organization. Mr. Glatt is a graduate of Drew University, where he is also a trustee. Jordan Glatt, Shared Services are.
Thank you. So I'm just going to be relatively brief, kind of in the closing here. Nick and I have traveled literally thousands of miles around the state visiting communities. And one of the things I want to say, being that we're talking mostly to elected officials and administrators, it's far from us to come in and tell you how to run your community or your court. Nick and I's role in these shared services has been really to act as, if you will, for our DPWPs, kind of the snowplow in the situation, and that is to remove the obstacles to get these shared services done and the courts. And so we will provide you with the technical assistance. We have grant money. Anything you need, you can call upon us to help you work this through. And I say this to every group I speak to. The one tool that we don't have in our toolbox is courage. And Nick and I understand intimately that anytime you do a change like this, even a court system where you feel like it doesn't matter, there's going to be opposition. It's just goes with the territory. I really don't have to tell this group that. And we're here to try and help you explain it to your communities and take out any, again, friction that may occur while you're trying to implement this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gordon and Nick. And at this time, the Division of Local Government Services has a presentation with Rick Rickadella and Azar speaking. So I'll turn it over to you, Rick.
Okay, thank you. Again, my name is Rick Rickadella. I'm the Bureau Chief here at Local Government Services. And we wanted to provide a short presentation on some of the experiences that we've come across. So the purpose of this presentation today, and our office is very excited about putting it together, is to provide an overview on the municipal court services. We want to, at Local Government Services, identify the most efficient way to deliver these court services in these municipalities. We like to ensure the best outcome for all individuals and entities affected by the shared service. And what we mean by that is the judges, the court administrators, and the violations clerks that are working in the variety of municipalities that we enter. And we like to identify opportunities to achieve staffing adjustments in an equitable manner. Next slide. So some of the expected goals is obviously, Judge Grant has already started this, but we want to propel the municipal court services into the 21st century with these innovative best practices. And those innovative best practices are obviously virtual courts and being fiscally responsible with solutions during today's economy, especially with some of the municipalities facing financial uncertainty with the pandemic and what they've experienced over the past 18 months. Again, as Jordan stated, we support decision makers in defining and attaining these goals, and we run through some of the interference for you. Our office was gifted with doing the LEAP program, and on many of the implementation programs for rebranding and starting up courts, we know they need electronic equipment, sometimes HVAC programs. We have up to $250,000 for them to apply for a grant. Both DCA, our Lieutenant Governor, who is our chief, and the AOC recognize there's no one right way or one size fits all approach to a shared municipal court. Everyone is handled on an individual basis, both our office and the office of the AOC when we work with them on every case. Next slide. So recognizing the challenges that we've been faced with, the AOC has stepped up, stating that we're going to have 80-20 on virtual courts. So we should be able to reduce the financial pressure to comply with some of the improvements that are going on. We also want to reduce some of the redundant layers of bureaucracy and costs associated with operating a municipal court. In today's day and age, it's very hard to be in the court business. So to meet some of those objectives, municipalities are seeking some cost savings through partnerships, and many are pivotal in the operations to support these efforts. Other New Jersey municipalities have successfully achieved efficiency and cost savings through some of these shared services. Next slide. This is just an example of some of the shared services that are going on throughout the state and the vicinages that are in place, and the courage that the judges today have spoken to you about stepping up and getting these shared services or joint municipal court services in place. So we have a total of 292 separate municipal courts established agreements in municipal court services. We have 565 municipalities. So as you can see, we're making some very good headway with regard to this. Next slide. So obviously, as Jordan stated, some things don't come easy. And are there going to be changes? Yes. And everybody knows that no one likes change. Are there challenges? Are they impossible? No. Residents and staff may raise legitimate issues and concerns, but we can resolve them efficiently and effectively and implement them with good organizational change. So we establish new lines of authority. Obviously, if we're going to be going to one municipal court, there'll be, if we put 2 or 3 courts together, or what our friends are working on down in Atlantic County, there's going to be one established authority in Atlantic County. We're going to have community impact. Again, with the virtual courts will minimize some of this community impacts. And most of all, as Judge Mendez stated earlier, we want to protect the interests and of the affected employees that are involved in this. Next slide. So individual courts to shared and virtual court services. With COVID-19, it's obviously exacerbated some of the existing municipal court budgets. In fact, we're working on one right now up in North Jersey, where a court for the last 5 years was losing $50,000 a year. So by putting a shared service in place and turning their program around, they will start to make $105,000 a year. So COVID has created some of these issues, some of the things that were detrimental with COVID, but we seem to be working through this. And I give Judge Grant a kudo, along with the judges down in Atlantic County, for getting together and starting up the virtual and shared municipal court programs that we have for the future. Obviously, everybody who's on this webinar today knows it's too expensive to sustain the operations of an individual court. Myself, being a retired police officer, I know how much it costs to maintain the police security inside and outside the courtrooms. The judge's bench has to be bulletproof. We have to have a panic alarm for him. We have to have courtroom personnel that are working in the court, both inside and outside the courtroom, who have to manage the recording devices, collect the revenues, and then process the fines to the New Jersey court system. And then, as Judge Mendez stated earlier, sometimes we have individuals who can't make time payments, so we have to work through it. We have to have intergovernmental cooperation is essential for the full recovery of the pandemic to improve the efficiency. So again, it's important that you contact us, DCA, Division of Local Government Services. This is our job, to go into these towns and work with the AOC vicinage managers to go help you get over these hurdles and overcome some of the problems that come up with the stakeholders. Next slide. First thing you want to do is find a good partner, somebody in the neighboring town that has the same supportive situations that you have. You want to seek help, obviously, from your vicinage manager with the administrative office of the courts in every county. And then DCA can develop a work plan to help you with the program. The AOC has developed a formula to assess municipal court operations regarding cases. They have a weighted caseload that they use in many of the courts that can tell you how many employees or how many individuals that we need to operate the court. With the AOC's assistance, we're able to get these programs off the ground using a good, competent formula that's been in place for many years with the AOC. We conduct a needs assessment. We here at Local Government Services send out a documentation request so that we can get a good feasibility study done on the courts and how many cases they're handling. But as Jordan stated earlier, you need the courage. And the courage is when we got to combine everybody into one pool, where you need one judge, one court administrator, support staff, security costs, one public defender, one prosecutor. And sometimes that creates some hurdles that are tough to get in place. Next slide. So we have here at Department of Community Affairs, everybody has been talking about it, is the LEAP grants. Governor Murphy's administration has put $10 million aside for fiscal year 2022 for people who can start with grants. Challenge grants are grants that are thinking outside the box. Well, that's a great idea. I think the director mentioned it earlier, that Bergen and Passaic County and Hudson County are doing a medical examiner's office at one location. Wow, how super is that? That we'll have one location to go to for the medical examiner's office. Implementation grants, when we're putting rebranding and putting two departments together. When we did Woolwich and South Harrison, they told us we don't want to be in a court business anymore, Rick. We want it to be all in one court, one police department. So we were able to give them rebranding costs or implementation costs. And then the other item that we use is the fellowship grants. Fellowship grants is a shared service coordinator in each county. Presently, we have 6 counties that are participating. That's so that they can call on the state to help them and push them through any hurdles that they have. But then we also find out how many shared services these municipalities are actually having in their communities. Again, applications will be available in November, right during the League of Municipalities, where we'll be doing another presentation on the LEAP program in November of 2021. Everyone should contact Local Government Services, the Local Assistance Bureau, for support and assistance regarding municipal court services, or the LEAP grant. You can contact us through dlgs.leapgrant@dca.nj.gov, or as the director stated earlier, shared services at newjersey.gov, or by calling us at 609-292-6858. Next slide. Great. I'd like to turn it over right now to the Atlantic County group that we've been working with to speak about the hurdles and issues that they've come across, but we're almost at the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick. James Ferguson is the county counsel. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, graduated from Villanova University School of Law in 1979. He engaged in private litigation practice and municipal court work up until 2002, then joined the Atlantic County Department of Law, being named acting county counsel effective January 1, 2003. In April of 2003, he was approved by then Freeholder Board as county counsel and has served in that position for the past 18 years. Mr. Ferguson is the Atlantic County Counsel. The Honorable Mark Samson, retired, was born in Atlantic City. He graduated from Emory University School of Law and practiced law in Atlantic City for 29 years before being appointed as a Superior Court judge in 2007. He served in the Family Court Chancery, Criminal Division, and finally Recovery Court in Vicinage 1, which covers Atlantic and Cape May counties until his retirement in 2020. I present to you James Ferguson, Atlantic County Counsel, and Judge Mark Sanson, retired Superior Court judge.
Good afternoon. I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Oliver and the DCA, and particularly the staff of the Division of Local Government Services, for allowing Judge Samson and I to speak today about the creative program that we believe we've come up with here in Atlantic County. I would be remiss in starting out if I did not thank Judge Grant and the members of his staff at the AOC. In trying to put this agreement together, there were technical questions that came up, and we had several conference calls with Judge Grant's staff, and they were most helpful in helping us reach a final product. I have also received tremendous support from our local judiciary, headed by our assignment judge, Julio Mendez, the Vicinage Trial Court Administrator, Howard Birchtold, and the Municipal Division Manager, Brian Jetter, and his assistant, Janelle Rodriguez. We have had a true partnership throughout this long, approximately 15-month process. I also want to thank Rick Rickadella and Eileen Brennan of the Division of Local Government Services for their help and assistance, particularly with helping us secure a challenge grant for the Atlantic County pilot program. Eileen, in particular, has been very instrumental and continues to consult with us on civil service issues and other issues. My thanks also to the shared services czars, Jordan Glatt and Nick Platt, who attended several of our Zoom conferences earlier this year. They provided encouragement and timely suggestions. And I also want to thank Senate President Steve Sweeney and members of his staff, particularly the Senate Executive Director, Kevin Drennan, because when the legislation was originally formulated, it would not have allowed a regional court program under county control. We were able to work with the senator's office to obtain amendments to that legislation, which have proved most beneficial. I want to explain very briefly, give you a summary of this program. The project emanated from an idea advanced by County Executive Dennis Levinson, who thought a countywide municipal court under county control and using county facilities would save substantial money for participating municipalities. The estimated cost savings through this program would be in the range of 30%, if not more. The program has made great progress because it is a true partnership between the county, the court system, and the local municipalities that have elected to join. I stress the word partnership because the progress we have made would not have been possible without the participation of each of those various entities. In drafting the agreement for the establishment of the Central Municipal Court of Atlantic County, I tried to be cognizant of the need to make the municipalities true partners in this process. As you all know, the state of New Jersey has a long history of established home rule, and it occurred to me that in order to be successful, participating municipalities would have to be convinced that they have a real stake in the process. The aim and thrust of the agreement as drafted is to avoid a top-down system dictated by the county and instead to have a system which operates on a hybrid basis where, although the county will assume control of the court, the participating municipalities will continue to have active involvement. That is accomplished through two committees which are established under the agreement. The agreement provides for a 5-member governance committee, which is made up of the 3 largest participating municipalities and 1 representative from each of the other 2 municipalities. The governance committee, in consultation with county administration and local superior court representatives, will formulate the court's operating budget. The committee is also tasked with holding quarterly meetings with the county and court officials to check on the progress of the Central Municipal Court. The agreement also provides for a personnel committee of 5 members of similar makeup. This committee has already held meetings and has made recommendations for the judges, the court administrator position, and the 3 deputy court administrator positions. This committee, in consultation with the county and representatives of the local judiciary, will also recommend salaries for the positions and will formulate a staffing plan for the Central Municipal Court. Thus far, this committee has worked very diligently toward carrying out its functions. The agreement addresses the issues of budget allocation, with costs and expenses being billed back to the municipality based on each municipality's pro rata share of the cases to the total number of cases generated by all participating municipalities. It is estimated that when all is said and done, with the addition of cases from the state police and state agencies, that we will have probably between 70 and 75,000 filings per year. The agreement also addresses the allocation of revenue from fines and court costs and explains how revenue will be distributed back to the municipalities. The agreement requires each municipality to make a 2 full-year commitment. A municipality would have the right to withdraw from the Central Municipal Court by giving 6 months written notice to the county, to the Superior Court, and the other participating municipalities. Any municipality which elects to withdraw would have to pay its assessed share of costs and expenses for the year of its withdrawal. In conclusion, I would just like to say, while significant work remains to have this court operational by January 1, 2022, I am confident that with the continued hard work and dedicated professionalism of all participants and partners, we will reach this goal and we will create a unique and true shared service that will serve county taxpayers well in the years to come. Again, I thank you for allowing me to participate in this symposium today. And now I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Judge Mark Samson.
Thank you very much, Jim. Upon my retirement as a Superior Court judge, I was called pretty much at the same time by the County Executive Dennis Levinson and Assignment Judge Julio Mendez, we've heard from before, to ask if I would assist with the promotion and marketing and the formation of a consolidated municipal court in Atlantic County. Prior to being appointed a judge, I was a working lawyer for about 29 years in Atlantic County. I had appeared in all of the municipal courts in Atlantic County at one time or another. I was always struck by the inconvenience and inefficiency of the system. In most courts, there were sessions from 1 to 4 days a week. Over 100 defendants were listed, and in some cases, a lot over 100 cases, depending on what municipality you were appearing in. Most were routine matters, not requiring much time and clerical in nature, but generally a mass of people were lined up outside at 9 a.m., which was the uniform starting time. If you could afford a lawyer, you went first. If you didn't, you waited all day until the lawyers finished up. If you were a working person, you would lose a day's pay. If you were put off till the end of the day, the judge and court personnel were tired and somewhat testy, as you know, is well understandable, and you would receive extremely summary justice, and in some cases, very extremely summary justice. My role in this effort was to attend all of the weekly meetings with Jim Ferguson, and we held them every other week with the mayors for about the last 15 months, and the city and other city officials as well. And my role was to stress that we were seeking to create not just a more efficient and money-saving municipal court, i.e. save the taxpayers' money, but to maintain that we were going to create a better municipal court. Over the years, Jim and I appeared in at least 20 city council meetings with public officials. Sometimes 2 or 3 times we had to go back to a single municipality. Jim would lead off with the legal details, the efficiencies we were trying to accomplish, and the estimates of cost savings. This made the officials very happy, as the savings are significant in times of tightening budgets. I heard Mr. Rickadella talk about saving about $40,000 or $50,000 in some cases in Atlantic County. The delta between the cost and the cost savings was almost $400,000. And the public officials greeted that with great enthusiasm because there is political pressure at this point in time to lessen the cost of government. I would then follow up in my presentation with at least 3 different case types in which we could make a significant impact to better the lives of our citizens. By consolidating, we could create an economy of scale and could confront some of the greatest problems in our society: substance abuse, mental health, and domestic violence. We could, I maintained over and over again, have interventions available in court to address these issues. To get the addict taken from court voluntarily right to treatment, to have the mental health experts at the court to follow up with persistent issues caused by mental illness, which leads to extreme recidivism at the municipal court level, and sometimes, unfortunately, at the superior court level. We can have domestic violence victims assistance meet with counselors, victims meet with counselors at the municipal courthouse, at our county courthouse, to initiate and arrange follow-up treatment. By doing this, we could substantively improve the lives of residents and cut down recidivism. Municipal court is the front line of the justice system, and we could be first responders. Given my prior involvement with our Superior Court Recovery Court system, I realized that many of the drug possession cases, which used to result in indictments, were being remanded to municipal court, where traditionally there was limited availability of treatment options offered. We were leaving many people with substance abuse issues. These are people who truly were addicted to these drugs, with no treatments on the front lines, which is the municipal court, and no drug court alternative available in municipal court. Result, I stated, was unnecessary suffering, illness, degradation, and death. We can do better. Perhaps we can't do better with the 16 municipal courts that existed in Atlanta County and the 400 municipal courts located in the state of New Jersey, but we can with the consolidated court. We can put our treatment dollars to work where it can do the most good, in the most efficient and cost-effective way possible, on the front lines where the criminal justice system meets the people, and that is municipal court. To be sure, some of the council people could care less about the social justice issues for highly stigmatized and dehumanized substance abusers, but we had them at hello after we asserted a greater than a 30% cost reduction in the cost of municipal court, which was in some cases a very substantial savings. But despite a lot of cynicism, many of our local officials did care about these issues and saw the wisdom in what we were proposing, other than in purely economic terms. Not one town that Jim and I visited over virtually a year period wanted to change the status quo. As other speakers have stated, for obvious and often selfish reasons and political reasons, some maintain that they had the best municipal court in the state and the most efficient. Neither was in actuality true, and we were able to demonstrate that. There were, in addition, political motivations to maintain the status quo. I heard the word from Mr. Rickadella called courage, and that was required. However, I maintain that it was the perceived added benefit of meeting our constituents' actual social needs that tipped the balance in many of the close votes taken by individual municipalities to join our system. I commend the local officials who voted to create a better, fairer, and more responsive municipal court. A consolidated municipal court can be better because it will be able to make our residents and citizens' lives better. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to everyone. And now we have moved to the part of our program where we will entertain questions that are in the chat. So again, I ask that if anyone has a question, to please put it in the chat. And if we'll take the questions first from the attendees, and if there are questions from the press, please identify what press agency you are from. So I will open it up the chat for questions at this point. Okay, I see some right now. What will happen with the court staff? Will they lose their jobs, or will they have to apply for new jobs? And that should go to Judge Grant, Judge Mendez, Judge Tisley.
If Judge Grant is okay, I'll be.
Go ahead, Judge Mendez.
Thank you. Atlantic County is picking up a significant number of our, hopefully will pick up a significant number of the staff from the various municipal courts. So they will all be applying for positions as part of the regional court. So we anticipate that at least close to 2/3 of the staff will be hired by the regional court or thereabouts. Some staff may be reassigned within the municipality to other positions. Obviously, all these personal issues will have to be done in accordance with civil service requirements and consistent with the collective bargaining agreements and the like. So the county solicitor and the local solicitor should be working on those issues. But that's I think what we anticipate taking place here in Atlantic County.
Thank you, Judge.
With respect to a
Judge
shared
Smith?
service agreement, this is part of a negotiation between the towns that are joining the shared service, whether it's a regional court, whether it's a consolidated court, whether it's a shared court. And so one of the things that you look to do is to say, where are the redundancy and how can I reduce those costs, while also trying to take advantage of opportunities for the employees to get other assignments and those sorts of things. But there will be a reduction in the number of people because that's the primary focus here. You've got built-in redundancy and you're trying to eliminate that redundancy by coming up with a smarter plan. So the towns working together can come up with a way of deciding what should the staffing model look like in this new configuration.
Thank you so much.
I would just also add too, as part of the process, and I just piggyback on what Judge Grant is saying, in our negotiations, particularly in Gloucester County has made a commitment that if there are staff that are unable to land with the merged municipal court, that they will arrange for them to be hired within their county, which is a great commitment from Gloucester County that we really appreciate.
Thank you all. And here's another question. How have the perspectives of families and defendants weighed in terms of consolidation?
Mendez first to know.
Judge Mendez?
Yeah. Can you repeat the question again so let me understand it?
Sure. How have the perspectives of families and defendants weighed in?
A very important component. I mean, we're all about access and justice and giving people the opportunity to have their day in court and treating everyone with dignity and respect and providing good customer service. So, and as Judge Samson and others have indicated, we're hoping to provide even additional tools as municipal courts are able to pool their resources under a county umbrella. So I think they're at the forefront of what we do every single day in the court system.
So go ahead, Judge.
I'm sorry, Judge Grant. I would indicate too, the technological aspect of it focuses almost entirely on the defendants and their families. We have times in the past where people would have to miss court, miss work, that was commented on before. Now they're able to appear virtually. We are also looking at, in some of our municipalities, doing technology rooms in the municipal buildings. So if they have to so they won't have to, if they don't have access to technology, they'll be able to go to the local municipality, access it. So it's a great benefit to the defendants and their families.
Judge Kelsey took my exact words. See, that's why he's a great assignment judge. Thank you.
Here's another question for you. Are regional courts the plan for the entire state?
The legislation addresses counties with a population of 300,000 or less. So the answer would be no.
And here's a question. Is there a deadline to join this in Atlantic County?
Yes, we've set a deadline of November 1. We have 9 municipalities that have officially signed up. There's another municipality that's scheduled to vote next week. We're anticipating that they will vote affirmatively. That would give us 10. The reason we have to cut it off by November 1st is because we have to formulate a budget starting for the calendar year 2022. And we simply can't have towns jumping in at the last minute because that will skew our ability to formulate that budget that we need.
There's a technological change that has to take place. Right now, each municipal court has their own identification We have this statewide system, and so it will take time for the ALC to convert its system into this regional configuration. And you can't do that on a short notice. So the planning that Mr. Ferguson, Judge Samson, and others has been involved in is a long-going effort. So we need to have a cutoff date.
But there would be an availability next year for other municipalities to join. And in fact, we anticipate that other municipalities will join.
Here's a question. What approvals would be needed for a shared services court?
The town bodies would come together. They would have a conversation with the AOC leadership. There is a formal process. We can give anybody information on how you do a shared court, a joint court, or a regional court if you're in the 300,000 or less counties. We can give you that information. So anybody interested, we will share it with DCA, and then they can make it available to any town interested.
Thank you, Judge. Are there any municipalities in Warren County joining a regional court?
Today, no.
Okay. What 10 communities have agreed to join regional courts in Atlantic County?
So far, we have the municipalities of Egg Harbor Township, Estelle Manor, Galloway Township, Hamilton Township, Linwood, Northfield, Port Republic, Ventnor, Weymouth Township, and next week, the city of Summers Point is scheduled to vote. And if they vote affirmatively, that will constitute the 10 municipalities.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Courts
Thank
are
you.
already overloaded with scheduling. Wouldn't combined regionalization add to backlog of appearances and trials?
We would hope not. And I think that, and perhaps Judge Grant and Judge Mendez will be able to comment further, but I think with the fact that pursuant to Judge Grant's order or public announcement that he came out with on June 2nd of this year, where the large majority of the cases are going to be done virtually, I think that with that process in place and with skilled people that we plan to hire in the court administrator position and at least three deputies that we will have, along with other court personnel, that we'll be able to work through that process and actually make it, streamline it and make it more efficient for people.
I couldn't agree more, Mr. Ferguson. The idea of this technological tsunami that I'm talking about is occurring. The reality is we have more people showing up for court, or more the percentage of people showing up for court remotely than we did in person. As Judge Tisley indicated, you don't have to take the whole day off. You don't have to make childcare arrangements. We're seeing a great number of people show up for those proceedings, and that's through the technological changes. People do that for their banking. They do it for their insurance, and they're asking for that same ease, that same comfort in coming into our courthouses. And we think, we know that we've had hundreds of thousands of people show up for municipal court, and we've taken care of a significant number in terms of in the millions of cases resolved through these virtual proceedings.
Yeah, I just want to follow up as well. The new regional court will be in session 5 days a week. So if there is a need for a postponement, it could be done very rapidly, as opposed to a standalone court that if you may need to postpone a case 30 days for the next court proceeding, it will immediately be in backlog. So we'll have the ability to more rapidly schedule cases in a regional court as well.
And folks want to know, will this presentation be available to view over again? Director Suarez or Rick Rickadella, will this presentation be available?
Yes, it's going to be available on our website. The communications officers at DCA are going to ensure that we have it available for everyone to look back onto it if they want to follow up on any of the questions or any of the materials that we covered during the presentation.
Thank you. And Mr. Mirabella says that I'm in the middle of this process now in Scotch Plains, Westfield, Fanwood, and Garwood. I can say the process is smooth, and I'm looking forward to reviewing the analysis from Rick and his team. Many thanks to Jordan Glatt and Nick for their leadership. This shared court will save tens of thousands of dollars and allow us to avoid costs moving forward. Al Mirabella, Scotch Plains manager.
I'd also like to say that In 2009, we engaged several law firms and our administrators and really did put together an excellent document on putting together a joint municipal court that is available on our website as well. So you don't have to reinvent any wheel here. We will provide that, and we will also provide counsel through the town administrators of what they've experienced and the ticket administrator in Madison. So anything they need, we will provide free of charge.
Thank you so much. And another question for the panel. Would we have to apply for county positions? We have to apply to the county for positions if we lose positions in the court?
Every position will be open and competitive, subject to advertising in the normal process. So yes, and that's actually taking place at this point.
Thank you, Judge.
And Ms. Holmes, if I could also add too, Atlantic County is doing the regionalization with a county-run court. To have the court, it's not necessary that it be run by the county. And in fact, in my three counties, it's anticipated right now that the courts are not going to be initially county-run. They're going to be run by a group of municipalities without any county involvement, except for the benefits the county assisting the process.
Thank you, Judge. Is the Office of Public Defender a supportive partner in this?
Municipal court cases are not handled by the statewide public defender's office. They're handled by local public defenders from each town. And that's another cost saving that you can do by doing these kinds of collaborations. You don't have to have 10 municipal prosecutors to handle these cases. So that's a benefit as well.
Almuki does a shared service with Knowlton for municipal court. Also, there are 4 other courts in Warren County that do a shared court through Belvedere. How will we go about exploring becoming a regional court?
You have all of the assistance here in this conversation. You have DCA that's willing to assist you in those conversations. And obviously the administrative office of the courts is willing to assist you in those conversations as well.
And Mayor Ward wants to know, you said you'd support the standalone. How so? Yes, Judge Mendez?
Yes, we are committed to the fair administration of justice everywhere in every court in the state of New Jersey, whether it's a shared court, a joint court, or regional court. So we will continue to support every municipal court in all of our counties, regardless of what ultimate format they have in terms of their operations.
There's been a growing movement, starting out from a situation dealing with Ferguson, Missouri, where the Department of Justice got involved in looking at what was characterized as limited jurisdiction courts or municipal courts. And over the last 12 years or so, there is a national movement where these kinds of courts are being examined, as Judge Mendez says, to focus in not on revenue collection, but on the quality of justice that takes place in those courts. So New Jersey, as I said, has a quality municipal court system, and we're just continuing to build upon that. This model of joint and regional courts is not something that fits all our courts, but the judiciary, working in partnership with the towns and the cities that operate those courts, will continue to advance fairness and justice in our system.
This is our final question. Let's see. Can we assume all municipal fines will go back to the town? Would all court costs go to the shared regional court?
You want to talk about the collaboration on each of the agreements of percentages, whether it's a shared or joint court? There's an agreement as to what the percentage of fines and fees and collections. With regards to shared courts, it's a little bit different than a joint court where you keep your own identity. So this regionalization is really part of this kind of collaboration where the towns are getting together and deciding what is the best model for them. If you're a county with less than 300,000, you may say that it makes sense for us to bring some of our municipal courts together to create a countywide format. If you're a county where you got a adjoining community and you've got similar kinds of geographic profiles, you may join together and say, we want to keep our identity, but we want to collapse into a combined operation. And in others, you just say, we're going to create a new kind of configuration and you will decide how that allocation of funding takes place.
And Judge Grant, there's someone who has, this question is more for Judge Grant. At some point, will municipal courts be permitted to have small in-person sessions for those who do not use technology?
Answer is we still have in-person sessions right now. As I said, the rule is 80-20, as Judge Tisley identified, for those cases that are cases involving significant penalties, consequences, loss of your license, driving while under the influence of alcohol, et cetera. Those kinds of cases are being brought into our buildings today. And if people have special needs, they can make a request to have an in-person appearance as well.
And Judge Grant, they also just want to ask that I ask you to please ensure that evaluating the hardship and impact on vulnerable families and defendants is incorporated and evaluated.
And you should know that we do have an ability to pay format. We also allow people, if they got certain indigency, that we can waive certain fines and fees based upon the statutory scheme. But New Jersey Judiciary has made that a concerted effort over the last year, well, I guess last 3 years. We've probably dismissed old cases, failures to appear, outstanding bench warrants that are 10 years old or more as part of this ongoing effort to reform and improve our municipal court operations. So the answer to that person's question is we are definitely taking that under consideration.
Thank you. And those conclude the questions from the attendees. Do we have any questions from the press? Okay, it's 12:45, and I just want to take the time to, and if there's any additional questions, please email them to sharedservices@newjersey.gov. Again, if there are any additional questions, please email them to sharedservices@nj.gov. I want to take this opportunity to thank Judge Grant, thank our Lieutenant Governor, Sheila Oliver, who's also our DCA Commissioner, Jacqueline Suarez, who is our Director of Local Government Services, Jordan Glatt, Nicholas Pratt, our COSARs, the Honorable Glenn Grant, Acting Administrative Director of the AOC, Honorable Julio Mendez, Assignment Judge of Atlantic and Cape May, Honorable Benjamin Telsey, Assignment Judge, Gloucester, Cumberland, and Salem, Honorable Mark Samson, retired from Atlantic Cape May, James Ferguson, Atlantic County Council, Rick Rickadella and his staff. I also like to thank our DCA communications team, Tamara Petty, Gina Trish, Liz Lara Colato, and all of you for joining our attendees, everyone for joining in on this very important initiative for shared municipal court services. I am Kimberly Holmes, again, Chief of Staff and Assistant Commissioner for the Department of Community Affairs. Thank you, and I'm still seeing comments in the chat, thanking all of you, saying this was a wonderful, excellent session, and for the continued transparency that all of you brought to the table and responding to the questions. So everyone is saying excellent, thank you. So thank all of you.
Thank you for allowing us to participate.
A pleasure to participate.
Thank you.
Take care and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.